This video is sponsored by Squarespace. So I'm convinced with the release of their newest drone, the Flip, DJI is just starting to have fun with it. Like when you look at their core drone offerings, the Mini, the Air, and the Mavic, the drones they have available right now aren't getting much exterior pressure from outside the company in terms of competition. Like right now, the Mavic 3 is still one of the best folding drones you can buy until the Mavic 4 comes out. The same thing is true with the Air being their intermediate drone and the Mini being their sub 249 drone that they offer. So now what DJI is doing is they're niching down within their own company and developing drones that are kind of a different take on the ones they already have available. So I can tell you right now before I even unbox the Flip that this is a different take on the Mini 4 Pro. It of course has the built-in propeller guards. It doesn't have obstacle avoidance, but it does give you better tracking features. So again, it's something that's a little bit different than the Mini 4 Pro that might tailor to somebody's needs. Now in this video, I'm going to be doing my unboxing and first flight. I've also got some other drones that are comparable to this to kind of see the size difference. I think this one might be a little bit bigger because of the propeller guards, but it still weighs under 249 grams. Now at this point, I'm unboxing and flying this a little bit early. I've actually already posted my full review video of this drone. So if you want to know all the nuts and bolts, if you want to see image quality and a bunch of different tests run here with the Flip, be sure to go ahead and take a look at that video. I'll leave it linked up in the top corner and down in the description. But as I mentioned, today we're going to do our unboxing. Now I've got the Fly More combo here, which of course comes with DJI's customary bag. So they always give you some sort of bag that you can hold all of your stuff inside of. This one seems to be a little bit more stout than some of the other bags, but I would assume that this drone is a little bit wider with the way that it folds up. Okay, so let's go ahead. We will unzip the bag. Inside of here, we've got everything wrapped up in plastic. So why don't we kick this off a little bit over to the side and we'll go through things here one by one. So we've got the remote controller. This is the RC2. I would assume that this drone is also going to work with the RC-N3. They'll probably have a version that's a little bit less expensive that doesn't use the controller with the built-in screen, but instead uses the controller that you use your phone with. So that is one thing that comes inside of the box. Over here, we have the charging hub, it looks like. So this seems to be a little bit of a different design than what we usually get from DJI's drones. And what I love about this is it holds 4 total batteries. A lot of these hubs that DJI is coming out with only hold 3, but this one charges 4, which I love. And I think that if you have 4 total batteries in here, that's gonna be a nice, easy package to bring with you. So that's a great design right off the bat that I really like. And of course, we're gonna have to pull out the drone itself, which does have a fairly larger footprint than others of its size, just because of the built-in propeller guards, which will take that off. And we will slide this on out. So there it is. That is the Flip. I actually saw some leaks of this drone and I thought that it was completely fake because of the way that it looked and the way that it unfolded. And just with the way that this sits, I feel like you could use this as a ground camera, much like a lot of the other drones. You can hold it and use it for ground level footage if you wanted to. But this one feels really comfortable to hold. Like it gives you a spot to hold it underneath. Would it be an ideal situation? No. But if you wanted to bring one camera with you, you could probably do it with this. Okay, so the unfolding is going to be a little bit weird here. It looks like the antennas kind of enclose everything here along the bottom. We can go ahead and we can fold this one forwards and that one goes forwards there. And then on the back, this one comes up and around and up and around. Actually, that wasn't too bad, but the footprint is definitely larger than something you'd expect. It is fairly lightweight as well. Now the battery back here comes out by pinching. This is fairly standard. Also notice that this is part of the, why am I having so much trouble here? Also notice that this is part of the actual body of the drone here. Oh, does it lift up? No. Okay, it lifts a little bit up. There we go. So that's the battery. Battery's fairly lightweight. I wonder if they're going to be making 2 different versions of the battery to give you longer flight time. Like they do with the Mini 4 and the Mini 3, they gave you the high capacity and then the lower capacity battery to meet the weight requirement. That would be nice. But there it is. That is the Flip. We of course have the 2 batteries. We've got the remote controller, and inside of the bag, we've got a lot of other extra accessories. I'm going to put this stuff off to the side because I'm really interested in seeing the size difference between other drones. So right off of the bat, this is the size difference between the Neo, which I mean, that's a pretty big difference. You could almost fit like 3 Neos in the form factor of the Flip here. Now, of course, the Neo doesn't fold up, so what you get here is what you're throwing inside of your bag, whereas the Flip is just super easy to fold down. Oh, you've got to go back legs first, front legs next. That is pretty easy to fit inside of your bag. And you also don't have those annoying propellers wrapping around. Now, let's compare this to the Mini 4 Pro because I think that this is going to be a direct comparable to the Mini 4 Pro. I almost think it seems to be like a mixture of Mini 4 Pro and Neo with the new tracking features and stuff like that. So for example, You can fly this with just the touch of a button on the actual drone. You don't actually have to use a remote controller. So here is Mini 4 Pro, and here is the Flip. Honestly, the form factor isn't much larger. It actually probably is exactly the same, but of course the Mini 4 Pro here has more obstacle avoidance sensors than the Flip does. So here, if we're looking at this camera right here, here's the size difference between them. It's a little bit difficult to hold this drone because of those propeller guards, but that is the size difference right there, which actually is not all that different. Now, why don't we fold it up here? I mean, the Mini 4 Pro, because the legs tuck so tightly to the body, this is such a tight form factor that fits in my sweatshirt pocket so easily. The Flip, pretty easy to fold up. I would say it's maybe just the slightest bit larger than the Mini 4 Pro there, but it still is fairly pocketable. Okay, so let's get outside and fly this drone. I'm really interested to feel the performance of it, especially maybe in some high wind, because the propeller guards are great for indoor flight, but when you're outside, it really can slow down that performance. So I'm really excited to check out what this has to offer. Before we head outside though, here's a quick word from this video sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is my all-in-one tool to share my content, acquire new business, and fully service the clients that I'm currently working with. With a recent overhaul, I've been able to showcase my best work the way that I want to on my website, giving future clients that want to hire me a clear understanding of the services I offer and the quality of work I deliver. Setting up my website was super easy as I was able to fully customize the experience quickly and efficiently with the new Fluid engine that makes building out your website a breeze. All of the elements that Squarespace offers gives me so many different options to feature the images and content on my web pages how I want. This also makes my website easy to maintain over time so I can spend less time updating my website and more time creating. On the back end, Squarespace is a powerful business management tool with flexible payment options to users that decide they want to sell goods through their website. In my case, this would be prints, presets, or anything else photography related. It also allows me to create invoices for the services that my clients can book directly on my website so I can keep track of my finances. It's also very helpful to keep an eye on the analytics that Squarespace delivers on the back end so I can see what web pages and what services are getting the most traction. So a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video and helping me display my work online for over half a decade. I have to say, after unboxing this drone, getting a chance to set it up, handle it a little bit, put it back inside of its bag, bring it over here, I really do enjoy this form factor when folded up. I think that it's fun, I think it's unique, and I still think that it's compact despite the fact that it has the built-in propeller guards. I mean, this kind of is a genius design when you think about it, because how would you fold a drone otherwise that has built-in propeller guards? Any other way you try to do it, it would be so clunky and annoying to deal with, but this here is fairly compact. Now, check this out. When we go and unfold the drone, so we'll unfold the two front arms first and then the two back arms first, it's that back right arm that seems to kick the drone on. So now this drone is turned on, it's booting up. We didn't have to push any buttons. I really enjoy that small touch, that small feature. But I will say, make sure you have your gimbal guard taken off before you unfold the drone, because then you'll have a locked up gimbal. So I would say when setting this drone up, it would be gimbal guard off, unfold, put it on the ground, it's turned on, it's ready to go. And even right now, everything is all set up so we can take off. I gotta say that I'm very excited to fly this drone because it's the first of its kind from DJI with the built-in propeller guards. So we'll go ahead, take off. Hand launching feels super safe because the propeller guards are covering the props. I've nicked up my fingers quite a few times. All right, so we've got the drone in the air. It'd probably be helpful if we go and press record on the screen here. You can tell from the pitch of it. Let me bring it down a little bit more. You can tell that the pitch, I don't want to say it's a little bit higher, or I don't want to say that it's a little bit deeper, but you can tell that it's just a little bit different because of those propeller guards. Hopefully you could hear the sound of the drone through the microphone down here on my chest. Now, there's a huge accident on the highway, and I kind of want to go over and check it out. So we're in sport mode right now. 25 miles an hour. This drone is getting after it. Ooh, it definitely is louder than the Mini 4 Pro just because of those propeller guards. It's going to give you a much different sound. All right, let's go check this out because there have been police sirens going past like crazy. I have no idea what's going on. If it's anything, you know, too bad, we'll just look away and pretend that there's no accident there. What's pretty cool is from here, we can actually go and we can use the digital zoom to check this out. So let's go a punch into 2x. It looks just like a truck accident. Looks like they're sweeping up. Ooh, they have the stretcher out as well. Okay, we'll leave them to do that. Oh, we get 3x too. That's pretty cool.
definitely a good amount of zoom there. Okay, we'll leave them to that. We'll go ahead and we'll go and fly down to the water here. Now, I have not had a chance to set up my gain and expo tuning. That is like one thing that I just always forget to change before my first flight. You'll see this gimbal is super sensitive, moving it up and down. For me, I like a little bit more of a slow moving gimbal so that I can get the slow moving shots. But we're going to work with what we have here. Now, we're in sport mode. We're ripping down the water at about 26 miles an hour. We're not going to be able to get the same speed out of this drone as we would the Mini 4 Pro, of course, because of those built-in propeller guards. It's so crazy to think about how DJI's lineup of drones has evolved from the mini drones to now going down to the Neo to now giving us this Flip, which kind of goes in between the Neo and the Mini 4. So this drone, I think, is much better for close quarters flight, for flying it close to you. And that's why I'm super excited to get this drone back over into the neighborhood I usually fly in and have it follow me on my one wheel, because I think that this is going to be a really great tracking drone. So yeah, when it comes to what this drone is capable of, it's definitely below the Mini 4 Pro just because it doesn't have the omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. It doesn't have the same speed or the same flight time. Even right now, as we're heading kind of up the river, we are going a little bit slower than we would with, say, the Mini 4 Pro just because of that wind. So right now, in full tilt on sport mode, we're only getting about 10 miles an hour coming back. Now, there are some wires down there. I am going to try to droop the drone just a little bit lower to get some more speed out of it. But this really goes to show with these mini drones what you can expect in terms of performance. I love the mini drones just because of how you're able to put it inside of a backpack super easy. You don't have to register. It's very small. It's very concealable. You also don't feel like you're making a big scene when you go out and fly with the drone just because it is fairly small. Now we're getting a much better speed, 23 miles an hour. But the smaller drones really are great, but the biggest limitation is the wind. Like, I know, for example, I like to go and fly down at the shore, and it's very difficult to try and get around because of the high winds. And I can imagine that this is probably going to handle the winds a little bit worse than the Mini 4 Pro because of those built-in propeller guards. Now, what's cool is that you can still do that type of flying where you put the drone up. You go and you get some shots of the city and this and that, but you've also got a great drone with those built-in propeller guards that you're able to fly close to you and feel safe. Like, you're not going to nick your arm or your fingers or your arm if you go to land it, or if you crash it into something, you're not going to do too much damage. So for that reason, I'm going to go and do my typical shot with all the drones that I fly, where we go up and do a reveal of Manayunk. I do have to say that I actually expected worse performance out of the drone just because, oh, my gimbal is so not tuned. I expected worse performance out of the Flip just because it is fairly windy out here right now, but I would have to say that it's definitely handling its own. Okay, we'll drop down a little bit here. We're going to flip into the normal mode. The main reason is I think the gimbal is going to be a little bit slower. So let's go ahead. We'll fly up and over, do our reveal. The camera is very similar to the Mini 4 Pro. So I expect similar image quality results out of this drone as you would from that drone. We, of course, can shoot 4K video at up to 60 frames per second, but I'm shooting 30 just for the sake of this video. I'm impressed with the performance. This does feel nice. Doesn't feel like it's going too slow. This is a nice reveal. This is the exact speed that I'd want to go to come up and over and reveal Manayunk. Cool. Awesome. Okay, now let's get into some cool stuff with the Flip that I think most people will be doing, and that is close quarters flight. For me, I don't think that I would ever fly too close to objects with any other drone except for the Avata and the Neo because they have the built-in propeller guards, and this is now a GPS-style drone that has the built-in propeller guards. So it's kind of like a mixture or a Frankenstein of both the drones. Man, I've also got to say, it is cold out here. It's January, and we're finally starting to get cold weather here in Philadelphia. Okay, let's bring this drone on down. The image transmission has been flawless. I mean, it's been really great, moving all around, no breakup in the signal. So something that I would never do with any of the drones that I take on my first flight is bring it down close to the parking garage here and fly through it. So whoop, we'll go right underneath. Now, this here is maybe something that I had done with the Avata 2. But again, it's a little bit sketchy when you have a drone that doesn't have the built-in propeller guards, because if you crash, you're probably breaking a propeller, and it's definitely going to have a greater impact on the drone than if you would be flying with one that has the built-in propeller guards. Now, I will say that at this point in time, when flying these drones, usually the flight time or my battery percentage is a little bit higher. I would say that the battery life is gonna be as great on a drone like this because it needs to work harder with those built-in propellers. The battery also seems to be just a little bit smaller than some of the other drones that we fly here doing our first flight on the channel. So right now we're at 56%. I believe we started with about 91% in the battery. So just flying all the way down, all the way back, up and over Manayunk, and then down below, we drained, I want to say about 35% of battery. So this drone is still going to have a great battery life. Like right now, it still estimates that we can fly for about 11 minutes, but just know because you do have those built-in propeller guards, it's going to give you those limitations. So like I mentioned, in terms of the speed and in terms of the maneuverability, and now also the battery life, that's what you're going to expect to be a little bit less than what you'd get on, say, the Mini 4 Pro. Now let's go and spin her around, and let's go fly over near this hotel. Now, this is a pretty cool new building. I've showed it off throughout a lot of my first flight videos. And as you'll notice, when we go up and over, it has all of these steel structures around that kind of pay respect to the old factories that were down here in Manayunk. But also, as you can see, it's a spot that you probably wouldn't want to fly a drone. Now, I do notice there are some people down there upon first look, so I'm not going to go and do anything crazy. I don't want to go and disrupt people. But really, this is a drone that I say I would feel comfortable going and flying down through an area like this, like I would with the Avata or the Neo. But now we have this 3-axis stabilized gimbal. Now, this drone isn't going to have the vision assist feature where you can see out of the obstacle avoidance sensors because, of course, there's no obstacle avoidance around the drone. We do have the forward-facing infrared sensor, but that is about it. Okay, let's go ahead, squirt ourselves down in here. I believe there's someone walking there. We'll go and we'll let them walk by. We'll go and zip up and over the trees or the overhang around the trees. So yeah, I've got to say that close quarters flight, for me, it's not like it's made easier. Like any drone could really be doing this, but just personally, I feel better about flying close to objects with the built-in propeller guards. Okay, let's bring the drone back over. I feel like in the beginning, I didn't give you a good understanding of the pitch of the drone. So I feel like when I brought it over, I don't know. I feel like you just couldn't understand exactly what I meant in terms of the sound of the drone. If you're familiar with other DJI drones, you'll know that the pitch is manageable. Like it's fairly low, but this drone does seem to be just a tiny bit louder. So here's the drone. I'll put it really close to my mic. You can tell that it just sounds different. I will say, though, that the maneuverability, the speed, everything about this drone, for what it is, definitely fits well. Okay, so guys, I think that's pretty much going to wrap up my first flight here. My nose is starting to run. It is insanely cold outside. I'd love to hear what you guys think of the Flip. I'm really excited to put this drone head-to-head with the Neo, as well as the Mini 4 Pro. Again, I think that this is just kind of like a niche-down version or a sub-version of the Mini 4 Pro. But I have to say that with my first flight here, I'm pleasantly surprised at how the drone handled with this wind, despite it being fairly small, as well as having the built-in propeller guards. Please, again, let me know your thoughts on the Flip down below. Be sure to check out my channel for some more videos on this drone, like my review and some other active track videos. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.